And this is not a new discovery in microfinance. We all know that actually the poor need deposit services at least as much as they need credit services. In fact, we discover when the deposit service is offered, we discover that actually they need deposit services more than they need loan services. Because, as I said, the Grameen Bank has twice as much in deposits as they give in loans. And Seva Bank in Ahmedabad, which has been doing this for a very long time, has 3 times as many deposits, working with slum women in the Indian city of Ahmedabad, has 3 times as many deposits as they are able to give loans. There is a problem in Kolar. And the problem is this. Kolar is a town of, I don't know the exact number, but maybe 100,000 people. This is a small town. It's a town of about 100,000 people. It's a bustling town with agriculture and various kinds of crafts activity and so on. There are increasingly more and more MFIs have come there. And by about the middle of 2008, there were about 6 MFIs working in Kolar. So all the slums of Kolar have been covered by these MFIs. For some reason, in late 2008, 3 more MFIs opened offices. What do you think is going to happen? Every borrower that you can think of in Kolar has between 3 and 6 loans. And I would guess that at least 15 to 20% of those, by the time they got to their 6th MFI, they were borrowing to pay the first. So there is a problem of people getting into a debt trap because there's too much money chasing relatively few numbers of borrowers. And while Vineet says that 10 or 20%, only 20% of the market in India has been covered, and therefore there is no bubble, I actually, on this point, completely disagree. I agree with him that only it's not 20, but maybe 30% of the market has been covered. Nevertheless, there is a bubble. I'm drawing a very rough map of India. Because Khalid is here, I'll cut As Vineet told you, much of microfinance is concentrated here. And Kolar, where I went last week, is roughly here. Okay. So here, this bubble, here all of this makes sense. If you're going to concentrate huge sums of money in this area, reaching, however many people there are there, then you can expect some kind of bubble. But the interesting thing is that this is Bengal, and there is a problem around Calcutta also. Now, Bengal is also significantly crowded these days by microfinance institutions. So I would say that it's not just southern India, Bengal also, which is well covered by microfinance. But then you find a bubble appears here. And these are the poorest parts of India, but very few microfinance institutions working here, and yet there's a bubble. And then just 2 days ago, I get an email from an ex-colleague And it reads like my findings from Kolar. And that is from here. So what's happening? It's the phenomenon of the low-hanging fruit. This is a city called Lucknow. So everyone's working in and around Lucknow. This is eastern Rajasthan. It's a place called Alwar. But these are towns and the areas around those towns. It's easy to work in some of these places. What I would like to see is MFIs working extensively in this area. Densely populated, desperately poor, and only a handful of MFIs, relatively small MFIs working in that area. And of course, all of this. The large MFIs are starting to spread, but most of their portfolio is still down here, much less elsewhere. So,
is there a reason why it's like this?
Sorry?
Is there a reason why it's like this?
Governance. Governance. Simply governance. You know how badly governed Bihar has been for 30 years, 50 years even. Over the past 20 years between Mayawati and Mulayam Singh, they've completely ruined UP. So everyone's been so enthusiastic about microfinances that they've been pumping more and more money into it. And suddenly we've reached the tipping point. And all of these goings on are going to result in this enthusiasm waning until it comes down to a more realistic level and we get a far more mature microfinance market in which grows at a much steadier pace and which serves people a lot better than it has been, preferably with products that look like Grameen 2 rather than Grameen.
Yeah, the root causes of poverty and how to solve it, microfinance being one, another being legal, and so on. What would be the top factors that lead to poverty reduction? If you had to force rank it yourself.
That's why we're in value chain rating. Another wing of my organization is a not-for-profit institution which promotes value chains and undertakes livelihood development programs. Livelihood support is really what
I'll thank Sanjay there.